Today is December 26, 2022, here in Austin, Texas. In this video, you're going to get an incredible 5-year visioning exercise that's going to help really make your future so much clearer so you know how to make the right decisions today. When folks join our highest level program, which is called Board of Advisors, they're spending in excess of $30,000, $35,000 a year to be a part of it. This is the very first exercise you would do if you were to join my Board of Advisors program. My name is Tim Francis. I'm an entrepreneur based here in Austin, Texas. I'm originally from Canada, lived most of my life growing up in Canada, and I've had the pleasure of seeing the private financials of dozens of companies and have helped generate millions of new profit. On this particular YouTube channel, I'm documenting my journey to take my own company, not my consulting company, but I also own a hiring company, up to the process of getting beyond 7 figures to 8 figures. And it's hit some really tough times recently. It has really been hit by the recession. We've lost a huge amount of revenue. And so I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do to take this thing back to big time profitability. When I look back, 2001 is when I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I knew I wanted to be wealthy. In 2006, I finished my degree and I finally was able to focus full-time on being an entrepreneur. Around that time, I had heard a quote that said, "Be willing to work for a few years like few are willing to, so that you can live a life few ever will." I don't remember if it was Robert Kiyosaki or someone else, but there was this idea that it was really just going to be a 2 to 3 year journey, maybe 4 years at most, and I should be very wealthy for the rest of my life. Well, lo and behold, on December the 26th, 2010, which is exactly 12 years ago today, which is why I'm recording this video today, I had, my life started to unravel big time. In fact, I lost $200,000. I developed an illness starting on December the 26th, 2010, and I ended up not being able to walk for 3 months. So that was an incredibly dark time. And after being into the entrepreneur game for about 4 years, I was literally $200,000 poorer and right on the edge of double bankruptcy, both personal finance and business finance. So suffice to say, my desire to dream and think about the future had really taken a beating. As I came out of my illness, I really started focusing not on fame and fortune, but rather on truth and mastery. How could I get a little bit better at entrepreneurship with every week that went by? Here's the thing. No one teaches us how to be entrepreneurs, especially not in high school or in university or college. And we oftentimes have to learn on our own. And I had read books like Good to Great that talked about having a big, hairy, audacious goal and really shooting for the stars. What's the worst that could happen? If you shoot for the moon, the worst is that you land amongst the stars, right? Well, fortunately, I had just failed over and over again, and here I was, $200,000 upside down, which was really not what I signed up for when I first started as an entrepreneur. So I began the very long journey of surrendering to the mastery. And what that meant was, I'm not going to worry about Lamborghinis and bikinis and travel and being rich and all the rest. I'm literally just going to humble myself and focus on the next tool to learn, the next task to learn, the next skill to learn. So that continued on for another handful of years. Like we're talking from 2011 all the way till probably 2017 or 18. So 6, 7, 8 years has gone by. And around that time, I felt like I was really making a lot of nice progress. My business had gone beyond $500,000 in revenue and was continuing to grow. However, I really felt kind of confused because I had multiple different businesses, multiple different business opportunities, and I never really seemed to be breaking through on any of them. I was really a victim of shiny object syndrome. I'm sure that you can relate. Most entrepreneurs are oftentimes feeling this pull to start other businesses or launch other marketing projects instead of really just doubling down on what's been working already. I had the opportunity to meet and have a really high quality conversation with a scaling up coach named Bill Gallagher. And Bill asked me, Tim, which business is it that you really want to grow and scale? You're never going to get anywhere if you are splitting your focus across too many businesses. You need to really have a business that you're going to focus on as your primary business. And in that conversation, I told him, I don't know. I feel like I could be successful with a few different opportunities, and I just don't know what the most important business and the most important strategy is that I go after in the next year. He said, well, okay, Tim, one of the challenges is probably that you are thinking just about the next year. What I want you to do is an exercise that came actually from Cameron Herold and Brian Scudamore at 1-800-GOT-JUNK, and he called it a 5-year painted pictures exercise. And that's, I took that exercise, and at first it seemed kind of funny or kind of like too basic. But I'll tell you, once I did it, I was actually really blown away at how much it clarified where I needed to go next. I think that I had been so beaten up by failing on my big dreams that I really just kind of like gave up on big dreams and was focused on just kind of like the process. And what the 5-year exercise really allowed me to do was to let go of, I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. There's no way that, no one's ever done this before. Like all of those kind of like practical, logistical, project management type questions. In the 5-year view, those really just kind of like don't need to be there. And largely because we often overestimate what we can get done in a week, but we underestimate what we can get done in a year. And we overestimate what we can get done in a year, but underestimate what we can get done in 5 years. The same phenomenon is true here. So I'm about to share with you a new framework that I created. It was inspired by Bill and Cameron and Brian, and I've kind of added my own elements to it. And I call it the 5-year wings exercise. And in using it with myself over and over again, it's been incredibly clarifying. And then all of our board members, when they use it, they are incredibly, like, they're just blown away. They step back and go, holy smokes, I had no idea that I actually really do have a lot of clarity about where I need to go. So in this video, I'll not only share with you the 5-year wings exercise, I'll guide you through a few of the steps. I'll also give you a real world example, which is from my own life and my company, Great Assistant. And then thirdly, I'll give you some next steps of what to do next. So off we go. So the very first thing to think about in your 5-year exercise is actually three different areas to be thinking about. So again, with your 5-year wings exercise, I really don't want you to get too hung up on how you're going to make that happen. We have this 5-year wings exercise because we also have our 1-year roots exercise. So once we've completed 5-year wings, now we need to think about 1-year roots, where we do need to get much more practical and tactical. This isn't 1-year roots though, this is 5-year wings, and you'll see that the two together play together really, really nicely. So in your 5-year wings exercise, there's actually 3 sections of questions that you want to answer. The first is going to be your typical day. The second is going to be personal achievements, and the third is going to be company achievements. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to grab pen and paper. It could be a paper journal like this with a pen, or it could be writing in Evernote or Google Docs or whatever it is that makes you happy. I want you to put about 20 to 30 minutes on the clock. And the first area that I want you to tackle is just, what does your typical day look like? So I'll give you a quick example. For me, a typical day in 5 years from now is, and I'm sorry, I skipped one thing. I recommend that you really get clear on what 5 years is. So right now it's 2022, so imagine the year is 2027. Right now I just turned 40 years old, so I'll be 45 years old. My parents will be X years old. If you've got a significant other, how old are they going to be? If you've got kids, how old are they going to be? Really root yourself in what does that look like 5 years from now, just some kind of mile markers. Okay, great. With that in mind, now we move into the 5-year wings exercise to say, what does your typical day look like? So for me, I want to still be living in Austin, Texas. I want to have a team where I have functional leaders who are taking over all of the 3 major areas of my business. And so I'm wake up in the morning, and instead of having to run to the very first meeting, I'm able to really kind of sit, read, think, perhaps create some content for my following. I have a smoothie in the morning. I'm living in a beautiful high-rise. And from there, I'm unclear if I have a partner and kids yet or not. I'm open to it. I'm not determined to have that. So I'm kind of flexible on that. But I know that I am free to play sand volleyball at least 4 days a week. I'm playing at a very high level, probably what's called the open level, which means I might be competing for the AVP tour. And furthermore, I am at about 165 pounds of body weight at about 9% body fat. And my typical business day looks like probably about probably 4 to 5 meetings a day, where I'm talking to my functional leaders, possibly advising other entrepreneurs, doing a few interviews, those kinds of things. Hoping to wrap up each day by about 6 p.m. so I'm free to either play volleyball in the evenings, or if I do have a significant other, perhaps spend some time with them and or with kids. So that's kind of like the typical day. Obviously there's going to be, I want to do some travel and do some kind of like one-off things, but we want to talk just about like, what is your normal day? The 300 days that you're not vacationing or traveling, what does it look like when you're at your home base? Okay, great. So that's the first area I want to address. The second is personal achievements. So when I think about personal achievements, it's like, what bucket list items have you completed? How much debt do you have or have you paid off? What's your personal income? What's your personal net worth? What's your reputation as a human being? What limiting beliefs have you overcome? What sticking points in your life have you conquered? Perhaps you have beliefs around money that are just really dogging you right now. And also, what are you really proud of? What are you really, really proud of? So write some of those down. So then from there, we move into company achievements. And so company achievements might be like, what's the revenue level that you've achieved? What's your profit level? How much free cash do you have? If you've studied me at all, you'll know I talk a lot not about revenue, not about profit, not about cash, but actually free cash. What's the cash that's in your bank account completely free? It's not earmarked for anything else, not for taxes, not for credit card, not for payroll, not for payables. You're free to use it any way that you want. What industry awards have you won? What does the media say about your business? What do your mentors say about your company? How does your staff describe working at your company? What other notable awards, achievements, milestones have you earned or completed as a team or as the CEO of your team? What's your your reputation as an entrepreneur to the entrepreneur community? But also, what's your reputation as a leader inside of your business? Okay, so that's our second and third areas: personal achievements, and then thirdly is company achievements. And what you'll find is that in doing that 5-year wings exercise, by really answering some of these questions and painting that picture, as Brian Scudamore and Cameron Harold would say, you are getting really clear on what you actually are drawn towards. And once you're actually drawn towards that, now it really starts answering, what do we got to do this year? So once we have the 5-year wings, now we can say, okay, what routes do we have to develop so that we can support those 5-year wings? So I already gave you a bit of an example of what my typical day, I hope, looks like in 5 years from now. To build on some of the other items, I do want my company in 5 years from now to have $10 million of revenue. We'll see if that's possible. That would be very fast, given how much revenue we've just lost and how far we've got to go. But you know what? I'm not going to deviate from the exercise. The exercise is just dream. So my big why reason is I want to be a top 1% entrepreneur in the world by the time I'm 45. So that would mean $10 million in revenue. That would mean 15% net income. That would mean not revenue, not cash. Not revenue, not profit, not cash, but free cash of at least 3 times whatever our monthly expenses are. I want our customer satisfaction on the NPS scale to be 85 or better. I want my in-team satisfaction, which is called ENPS, of probably 90 or better now that I think about it. I want 0 debt, and let's see if I'm missing anything. I think that's about it. Oh, I want to make sure that we are winning, every year we're winning a Best Places to Work award. I think that'd be really good. And if I do grow the business from here to $10 million in the next 5 years, we would definitely be winning at least one Inc. 5000 fastest growing company awards as well. So that's kind of a quick example of some of the items that I'm looking for. So I've explained what the 5-year wings exercise is. I've given you examples of it. And in terms of next actions, what you want to do is you want to take 30 minutes. You want to quietly sit with this exercise. You want to turn off all dinging, pinging, ringing from your phone, your laptop, your tablet. You're going to want to go to a quiet place you know you're not going to be interrupted. My experience every time I've done this exercise is it really, it's sometimes uncomfortable to go deep inside of ourselves. And so it can be really slow. It can be really, and we can try to like self-sabotage. Like the human body and mind really doesn't enjoy discomfort. It's like chronically looking for the easy way out of everything. At least mine is, maybe yours is as well. And I've accepted that fact. And so I've accepted the fact that when I go to sit down and do something like this, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I wonder what's happening on social media, or oh, I really have to pee, or oh, you know what would really help me write better? A glass of water. And all these things just keep coming up. So, okay, fine, go pee, grab the water, but let's create a sacred space. If you need an accountability buddy, maybe get that. I know that we oftentimes do it in a room setting where there'll be 4, 5, 6 different entrepreneurs sitting together, and we'll be on Zoom silently or in the room silently for 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And there's a timer kind of counting down, and everyone's doing their own exercise for their own business for themselves. And sometimes that is enough of the container that's required to get us all through the exercise. So obviously you know yourself best. If you don't need that, that's fine. But either way, make sure that you get that part completed. 12 years ago, I had big dreams that suddenly came crashing down left, right, and center, and it crushed my soul. It took many, many years to regain any semblance of confidence and to build a toolkit that would even allow me to feel like I could sit here with you today and say $10 million is the goal in 5 years from now, with obviously 3 times free cash, a solid profit margin, happy customers, happy staff, et cetera, et cetera. It's kind of terrifying, honestly. And the final thing I'll say is that fear of evaluation is one of the biggest fears, and I think no one really talks about it. So fear of evaluation is kind of, it's why in gym class when you're a kid, the kids that were like kind of larger and not that athletic oftentimes would goof off in class so that they would be put in detention or taken out of gym class and put in the bleachers for misbehaving. Well, actually, that's a great strategy to get yourself out of the line of evaluation of your peers, right? Is to be sitting in the bleachers instead of slowly running up and down the basketball court, for example. So as adults, we have the exact same fear of evaluation. And it takes no courage to say, I'm going to start a book and I'm going to start a book and a podcast and a YouTube channel, and we're going to sell 5 different things, and I'm going to start a second company. It takes no courage to do that. I mean, anybody can just say a bunch of stuff, and at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, you look back and say, all right, well, did you get it done? And it's like, oh, well, I didn't really mean it because this other thing was happening, and well, we kind of made some progress over here, and I really wasn't that serious about A, B, and C. That's so squishy. There's nothing helpful about that. If you really, really want to make progress, it requires you to say, this is the thing. This is the business. This is the way we're getting customers. This is the most important project this week, this month, this quarter. And here's how you can measure me. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. So that being said, it's incredibly enrolling and very liberating. It's much easier for people to help you on your journey if they see clearly what's going on, they see the momentum, they see the direction, it's not confused by 15 other things, and they can get behind you and start rowing with you. And the degree to which you're willing to be open and accountable, honestly, to a single path, the more that you'll find that resources just start appearing and really helping you, sometimes in magical, unexpected ways, which is always nifty. And it also allows your coaches to give you the direct feedback. If you're saying you're going to start 15 things, then how does your coach give you feedback? Whereas if you say, hey, I need help writing a book, and so you find someone who's written a book and they give you direct feedback, and now you can work with the best in the world because you're not getting a business generalist, you're getting a business specialist for the one thing that it is that you've decided needs to happen this quarter or this year. So along those lines, I encourage you to actually invite, once you've written your 5-year wings exercise, I invite you to actually share it with at least one other entrepreneur. And even better, in my opinion, is, within reason, share it also with your staff. When I've done that with my staff, they've always gone like, oh, wow, that's really exciting. Sign me up. Let's go. Let's go up this mountain. So that's the last piece. Once you've written it, share it with someone you trust, someone who can be a great positive influence, a great cheerleader, someone who's got your back. And even if they don't understand your business, maybe it's a significant other, or a parent, or someone in a mastermind that you're with, that you share it with, and they may not understand all the ins and outs. But as long as they're there, they're positive, you trust them, they can keep whatever confidential stays confidential, and they're really going to cheer you on. That's a great person to share with. If you found this to be helpful, do consider subscribing. Do like this video below, and do stay tuned for upcoming videos on this incredible journey as I'm on my own path to fulfill my 5-year wings exercise. My name is Tim Francis in Austin, Texas, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.